Growing up, I've always been the boring friend. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't party. Still, to this day, I've never taken a sip of alcohol. I don't like going out too much, I don't like being in large groups. Basically, I'm an introvert. And even though as I've gotten older, I realized that I had to develop an extroverted side just because everything in the world is basically interacting with other people. Not that you can't be successful still being introverted, it's just that it limits you in a lot of ways. But even though I've been forced to develop an extroverted side, I'm still an introvert at heart. But I'm a natural loner. I like to keep to myself, I like to do my own thing, I like peace and quiet, and sometimes this translates to being the boring friend. And you know what's funny is that I remember the very first party that I ever went to. I've only been to 3 or 4 my entire life. And it was the beginning of the senior year of high school, and it was my friend's birthday. She invited a good amount of people from our class, but also people from different schools. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't really want to. But she was a good friend and she wanted me there, so I was just like, screw it, I'll just suck it up. And I remember there was one moment during the party where they decided to turn off all the lights, and there was like 15 to 20 people. I don't remember how much exactly, but we were all in her garage and everyone started getting lit, and then they started turning the lights down, everyone started dancing and grinding on each other. And I was like, okay, this is where I slide myself out the situation. And I literally went off to the corner and I was eating KFC while watching them by myself. And my girlfriend at the time was like blowing up my phone the entire night just because I forgot what she was mad about or what she was arguing about. To be honest, I think she was just mad that I was at a party and there was other girls there. So she was kind of blowing up my phone the entire night, and she gave me an excuse to be on it. And I remember 2 of the girls saw me sitting by myself at the table just eating KFC on my phone. And then they came over to me and they tried to like pull me over to join them and dance with them. By the way, talk about negative aura. I was literally sitting there by myself eating KFC on my phone. Just absolutely no aura, to the point where 2 girls looked at me, felt bad for me, and tried to pull me in. And I was like, oh no, I can't. I'm talking to my girl right now. She's blowing up my phone. I can't do anything about it. I'm going to give her a call. But in reality, I was just using that as an excuse to not have to join in. And for the longest time, I remember just thinking to myself, like, am I just boring? Do I just not know how to have fun? And I used to find myself in a lot of these positions where I'm at a hangout or a kickback or whatever it is, but I just don't participate in certain things just because I feel like, that's just not me. And I think because of this, I've always kept some distance between me and some people just because I don't want to be the guy that kills the vibe, but at the same time, I can't be something I'm not. Like, I understand that I'm a hard guy to be friends with. Like, I'm not on social media, I don't drink, I don't party, I don't like hanging out in big groups. My idea of a fun Saturday night is just being to myself most of the time. Like, a lot of people say that I'm kind of like a ghost. I'm hard to get in touch with, I don't like texting that much. I don't go out of my way to let people know what I'm doing at all times. I mean, if you ask me, I'll tell you, but I just don't go out of my way to tell people about my life. I also find it hard to conform to a lot of situations, like in the bad way, not in the sense where it's like, oh, you're staying true to yourself, but in the sense where I can't talk about something or pretend to care about something that I don't. And it's hard for me to relate to or entertain the things that most people do. I've had people ask me like, bro, what do you even like? I'm just like, I don't know. I like running, I like boxing, I like reading, I like playing basketball sometimes. I like writing, I like listening to music. I'm a boring guy. And when I say that it's hard for me to conform, I mean, there was one time I was on a date, right? And my date, she was talking about how one of her friends blew up on TikTok. And she was talking about the guy that broke up with her friend probably regrets it after she blew up on TikTok. And for me, I could have done 2 things. I could have shut up and just not ruined the vibes and try to, make something happen. Or say what I really think, which would not have been conducive to the goal at hand. But of course, knowing me, I just couldn't help but say exactly what I was thinking. And I said, if the reason someone stayed in a relationship was predicated off the fact that someone got a little bit of social media fame, or something as fickle as followers or subscriber, that relationship wasn't going to last anyways. And she looked at me like she was kind of taken aback, and I guess I kind of said it in a direct tone. And she said something along the lines of, you're just a hater, or something about like, I don't know, she had like 50,000 TikTok followers or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, you got me. I care so much. And then after that, the vibes of the entire date was just killed instantly. Just because I said that. Just because I said what I was thinking. Like, the strategic thing to do would have just been to play along and be like, oh my gosh, haha, TikTok followers. Oh my gosh, she's so famous. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I just couldn't help myself. And this isn't just like one example. Like, I remember there was another time where in college, I was in a Christian fellowship club called A2F or something like that. And during the NBA finals, we would all get together and watch together and have watch parties. And I think we were watching the Warriors versus the Cavs, if I remember correctly. And before the game started, we were all going in a circle talking about who we think the NBA GOAT is. And one of the guys said Kobe Bryant, just because, we're in SoCal. I went to college in SoCal, so everyone was pretty much a Lakers fan. And I remember he was listing all of Kobe's stats and accolades and the fact that he has 5 championships. And when he brought up the 5 championships, I immediately thought of the Lakers vs. Kings 2002 series, which was so obviously rigged. I mean, I know now that sports are rigged in general, but back then this was when I was still having my little awakening. But I was like, no, there was that 2002 series. Like, I was thinking about that in my head. And I could have chosen not to say it, right? Because I know it would have gone into this argument because he was a diehard Kobe fan. There's nothing you can do, right? But it's moments like that where I can just like pretend and play along in the conversation and pretend like the NBA isn't rigged and just be like, yeah, no, he's the GOAT. No, he's the GOAT. No, Jordan's the GOAT. No, LeBron's the GOAT. But in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking like this is a pointless conversation. So it's like this struggle between you don't want to be that guy, but at the same time, you don't want to like not be yourself at all or have to change yourself to conform to a group or whatever. So yeah, as time went on, I kind of just realized that there's a lot of things that are hard for me to relate to or for people to relate to me on. Like I'm the boring friend and I know that. That's why I've always like kept some distance between a lot of people. And I've had one of my friends ask me like, isn't it lonely like to kind of be this way? Like just, conform a little. I'm like, no, not really, because being alone and feeling lonely are 2 completely different things. Most people are the latter. Most people feel lonely because they never found it within themselves to be okay with being alone. Like you can be alone, but also feel a lot less lonely than someone who's surrounded by a bunch of people that he knows he doesn't care about and he knows doesn't care about him. Like that person that surrounds himself with a bunch of people just to not feel alone is normally the loneliest person in the room. And I also kind of see it like this. Life is like a train ride, and friends are like the passengers that get on and off your train at various different stops. Now some passengers might get on and get off at various different points. Some may stay longer, some may stay shorter. But eventually every passenger has to get off your train to catch the train to their own lives. And a lot of successful people had to be the boring friend at some period of their lives, right? Everyone else is out partying, getting hammered, getting wasted, wasting 2 out of the 5 days of the week. If you want to succeed, if you want to get ahead of people, at some point you got to start saying no. You got to start disappearing for a little bit. Like anyone who's ever succeeded had to be boring at some point of their lives because that sacrifice comes one way or another. And a lot of the times the people that are trying to have fun, trying to get lit, trying to get their friends to get lit and have fun, this isn't always the case, but most of the time the people that are in that mentality are the ones that are coping the most. If you feel like you're the boring friend or the friend that no one can really relate to in the friend group, try to take that as a sign or use that as an opportunity. Like obviously it's okay to have fun and get lit or whatever, but most of the times you'll feel that the answers you're looking for in life come to you when you're completely by yourself, when you're completely alone. If you're ever worried about being bored or boring and people accuse you of that, but you're just being yourself, don't worry about it. Just keep it pushing. Keep doing you.